Hey, sixth graders. This is Calabrese here. Happy May 4th. I can't believe it. May 4th is Star Wars Day, so happy Star Wars Day. Do you know why? It's Star Wars Day because May 4th sounds like May the 4th be with you. So happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you during our video today in your independent practice today. We are so lucky to be starting something new. This is sort of like a clean slate, a fresh slate. Those of you who joined in our online class a little bit late or caught on to what you were supposed to do or got your internet access like a little bit later on, had to jump in the middle of the unit. And now we're so lucky to be able to review some of our skills that need to be super fresh as we transition into 7th grade. So I will teach your 7th grade math class, and these are the kind of skills that need to be really fresh right from day one in 7th grade as we dive into 7th grade content. So this says 6th grade math notes, and they are 6th grade skills. This direct preparation for 7th grade, where we'll pick up in the fall. We're going to be working on these two things, identifying parts of an expression and evaluating expressions with exponents. Before we dive in, I just want to show you how to set up your notes. Because we're not in Unit 7 anymore, you can just tag your notes with today's date, May 4th. And I like to jot the two topics for today. Sometimes we'll have one topic, sometimes two that are closely related. And those are things we're going to cover today. It's important to keep these on your notes because when you're working on your quiz at the end of the week, that covers everything we've learned all week, then it will be really helpful if you see a question about exponents to be able to look and see which notes were about exponents. So this is truly just for you to stay organized, okay? All right, one other thing that I want to remind you of, or not remind you of, but tell you, is that we are going to practice something new today, Monday, as well as Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. And then your independent practice on Thursday will be your quiz, and that covers everything from the week. Based on the results of your quiz, I'll pick one skill that I think all of us should review one more time, and that'll be our work for Friday, okay? So we're not building up to a unit test like we were previously. We're building up to that quiz at the end of the week, and then next week we'll start a new topic, okay? Awesome. I mentioned this was a clean slate, and I am so proud of your hard work on the Unit 7 test. You'll see those results in the Google form. But I do want to share with you some data that I think is really informative. I'm noticing in both 6th and 7th grade, there are some students who are not watching the video, and there are many students who are. And so if you have ever not watched the video or not watched the complete video, you'll notice that those scores on those days go down. And this is some data to back it up. I took 6th graders' scores from an assignment last week, and I put them all in a spreadsheet. And I highlighted the students whose family I contacted because they didn't watch the video. Those are students who aren't getting the video questions. So I know that you're not getting the full lesson when you attempt your work independently. The average score for students who watched the video was more than 8 out of 10. So these are students who are scoring in the green on average. Many of them were scoring 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Some of them were scoring 7 out of 10. Not many of them at all were scoring below that. For students who did not watch the video, their average score was about 4 out of 10. This is a kind of score that's not a passing score. And if you want to be in this green bar, then all you need to do is watch the complete video. I show you this data now because we're at this turning point. We're starting something new, and so you get a fresh start. If you missed some of the videos or you weren't on board in Unit 7, you now have a chance to get on board and get more of our scholars up here in the green, okay? I also included the mode. The mode is the most frequent score, the one that comes up the most in the data set. And our mode for scholars who were not watching the video was 4 out of 10, which means on your accuracy, you're not earning a passing grade. You're also not earning the points for the video questions. And our mode was much higher. Okay. For students in 7th grade, I will tell you that the mode for students who watched the video was 10. And 7th graders are just knocking it out of the water with their accuracy from their video notes. So I'm throwing the challenge to you 6th grade. Let's see if we can get our average even higher. You can start just by making sure you're watching the video. That's the best way to be successful, okay? Also go to office hours with Mr. Zamora. All right, so let's dive into today's stuff. We're going to talk algebra, which is one of my favorites, and one of the things you'll continue to use in math as you move through middle school and into high school and college. You're going to be using these terms for that whole time. So lock them in your brain now so you can impress your teachers and your peers. Take a look at this math sentence here. This whole thing, 3x plus 5 equals 20, with that equal sign. The whole part here is called an equation. You can see this bracket right here is telling me the entire thing is called an equation. If I'm talking about just this part, the 3x plus 5, that's called expression. That's called? Yes. And if I'm talking about an even smaller piece of this sentence, this is called a term. This is also called a term. So there are two terms in this expression. You can call this one a constant term. And you can call this one a variable term. Constant terms are just constant numbers. There's no changing them. That's just what they are. Variable terms can change or vary depending on the value of the variable. So if x is 1, the value of 3x is 3. If x is 2, the value of 3x is 6. If x is 3, the value of 3x is 9, right? This 3 is called a coefficient. It's called a? Yes. It's really common for students to mix up the words coefficient and constant. I want you to think constant does not change. Constant? Absolutely. And I want you to think coefficient. Think about that beginning co. Have you heard of the word cooperate? Yes. Or the word co-ed? Yeah. Can you think of another one? That prefix co has to do with the meaning together. So if we cooperate, we work together. Co-ed means a team or a situation with both boys and girls, like a co-ed soccer team. So this coefficient, you can think about the coefficient being together with the variable. The operation that's happening is multiplication. Okay, so I hope that helps you. You're going to need that on your independent practice today. Please take 30 seconds and jot down what's the difference between coefficient and constant. Go. Last 10 seconds. All right, let's move on. So here's a great practice question. Follow along with me. This is guided practice number 1 in your Google form. I know it says question 2, but this is guided practice number 1. Which of the following terms describes the 5 in the expression 5x minus 3y plus 2z plus 1? Go ahead and select your answer. Awesome. If you said this was coefficient, you are correct. Remember, coefficient is together with the variable. 5 is being multiplied to x in the expression, so it's the coefficient. What's the constant term? The constant is 1, very good. Term could apply to any of the, I don't know how to call them besides terms, any of the parts of the expression, like 5x is a term, 3y is a term, 2z is a term, and 1 is a term. And variable x, y, or z, okay? We are going to pause and enter this answer in our Google form. It's really important to check your spelling. So when you're entering your Google form, let's make sure we're spelling coefficient correctly. Okay, I've got my answer pre-typed in here. Go ahead and pause and enter your answer now. All right, so you have your answer entered. You want to make sure it's spelled correctly. I have the Google Form set up to grade right away and show you your results. So if you type this in and the spelling is incorrect, it's going to mark your answer as incorrect, even though you knew the right answer. So triple check your spelling, please. Awesome. We're going to move on to question 2. There we go. Before we get to the question, I want to share with you some words and phrases that indicate math symbols. Why? Because one of our jobs today is to write expressions from words, okay? There are so many words within here. For example, the word divisor or the word split up. Those are words in a story that mean division. So when I see those words, I'm thinking division. When I see the word product, I'm thinking multiplication. There are so many listed here, and there are also so many that are not here that mean these operations. So this is just a good starting point. It's not foolproof. So if you don't see the word minus or any of these subtraction words, it still might be a subtraction problem. But this is a great place to start. Can you take about a minute and write down 2 to 3 words for each operation on your notes? And I will post this image so that you always have it if you need it. Okay, go ahead and update your notes. You can write down 1 or 2 that you think you'll see a lot, and then maybe one that surprised you on this list or one you don't see very often, and now you're going to look out for. So make sure you have 2 or 3 words for each of these 4 operations. Go ahead and label your operation words with what operation they represent. All right, and there is our time. Let's move on. All right, question 2. I'm excited for this question because it's drag and drop, and I figured out how to put it on my Google slide. So I'm excited. Here we go. Guided practice question number 2. We're going to drag each expression to the box where it belongs. Some expressions may not belong in either box. So we're looking at these 2 column headings, and we're looking at which of these expressions, maybe more than one, do they belong or are contained in each section. So the sum of 16 and r cubed and the quotient of r cubed and 16. What does cubed mean? Cubed means to the power of 3. To the power of? Absolutely. So I see the sum of 16 and r cubed, and I'm thinking, what operation does the word sum represent? Yes, it represents addition. Can you go ahead and put this table on your paper, on your notes, and go ahead and sort as many of these as you can into categories? Remember that sum will not be in either category. Go ahead. Last few seconds. Whoa. All right. Things got a little wonky, but I think we're back. All right, team. The sum of 16 and r cubed, those are addition expressions. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this addition expression here, the sum of 16 and r cubed, that should be in your first column. Please put a star next to that if you got it correct. Are there any others that belong in this category? Yes. Even though the order of this one is different, it's equivalent. It means the same thing and it has the same value. So even though the 16 comes last and the r cubed comes first, that's okay for addition because addition is commutative. What about the quotient of r cubed and 16? What operation are you thinking of when you think of quotient? Yes, division. So is division commutative? Can I change the order of division and still have the same answer? Yes or no? Think about, is 10 divided by 5 the same thing as 5 divided by 10? No, division is not commutative, so I do need to pick in the order that is listed in the question. So the quotient of r cubed and 16 means that r cubed needs to come first. Does this one work? Nope, this one belongs in neither category, so I'm going to leave it over here. How about this one? Fraction bar is division. Is it in the correct order? Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and put the quotient of r cubed and 16 in that category. Two ways to write the same problem. How about this one? What operation is happening with the 16 and the r cubed? They're right next to each other, so that shows multiplication. That shows? Absolutely. So I'm looking for a word like product or times, and I don't see it here. That does not belong in either category. Okay? Go ahead and put a star next to each one you correctly identified, including if you didn't put one, you can just write it on the bottom, say it belongs to neither, and put a star next to it if you got that right. Okay? Go ahead and pause and do that now. Awesome. We're ready to continue on. All right, the second part of our objective today, besides identifying parts of an expression and using the correct terms for them, is exponents. You've already learned about exponents, sixth graders, but I just want to remind you that exponents are a shortcut for showing repeated multiplication. Repeated? Absolutely. So when I'm looking at an exponent expression like this one, I read this as 2 to the power of 4. 2 to the power of 4. The 2 is called the base. The 2 is called the? Yes, and that's what we're repeatedly multiplying. So 2 times itself. The exponent, or sometimes called the index, tells us how many times to multiply that base by itself. So when I see 2 to the power of 4, or 2 to the 4th power, I know that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times itself, how many times? 4 times, right. So if I do that multiplication, I get 16, okay? Exponents are a way that mathematicians and scientists shorten up their thinking, so they don't have to write out this repeated multiplication that they need to do some important calculations in the real world and in science and math. They can take this shortcut. We're going to use this a ton in 8th grade, and our goals in 6th and 7th grade is to get really good at this. So let's do a practice. Here's question number 3. I want you to select which equations are true. There are 2 correct answers here, so look really carefully for them. We're going to take 1 minute to think, and then we'll come back together. I hope you found one already. Keep looking for that second one. Remember, there are 2 correct answers. All right, folks, there is our time. Let's go ahead and show our thinking. All right. Here's my work for question 3. Go ahead and compare it with your work. I think A is true. I think that because I know exponents are a shortcut for repeated multiplication. Repeated? Absolutely. So I'm going to repeat 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. 2 times 2 times 2. That matched the problem. B was talking about 3 to the power of 4. 3 to the power of 4 looks like this. This is called expanded form. This is called yes, and this 3 to the 4th is exponential form. This did not match the answer choice B. I'll just show you one more time. Answer choice B said 4 times itself 3 times. Those are not equivalent expressions. Those are different from each other. So B is not true. B is a great one to make sure that you have correct on your paper because it's a common mistake. How about C? 5 cubed equals 5 plus 5 plus 5. No way, this is repeated addition. I know exponents are a shortcut for repeated multiplication. You got it. Repeated addition is just multiplication. So 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 5 times 3, not 5 to the power of 3. Okay. I love looking at answer choice D. It says 16 times 4 squared equals 4 to the 4th power. Let me walk you through what I was thinking about this one. I wish I could see what you were thinking. I knew that 16 and 4 have a special relationship. You remember that 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 times 4 is also 4 squared. So I know that 16 times 4 squared is the same as 4 squared times 4 squared. Then I thought, this is a little confusing. I can also think about it like 16 is the same as 4 times 4, and 4 squared is the same as 4 times 4. So I'm multiplying 4 by itself a total of 4 times. That is equivalent to 4 to the 4th power. Super cool. D is true. Awesome. And answer choice E was really funky. 2 plus 3 in parentheses to the power of 2. We also call that squared. We also call that, yes. And if I'm doing this, think of GEMDAS or PEMDAS. The grouping symbols go first, and then I can evaluate exponents, right? Grouping symbols, G comes before E exponents, okay? Let me write that on my paper, because maybe it's been a while since you've seen that, right? You might have also learned PEMDAS. So I'm going to solve the grouping symbols first. So 2 plus 3 is 5, and then I can do the exponent 5 squared. However, that's not what happened. What happened here is this person kind of distributed the squared. 2 squared plus 3 squared is not the same as 5 squared. Okay. How do I know that? Well, I know that 5 squared is 25. 5 squared is 25. Do you know what 2 squared plus 3 squared is? Do you know what 2 squared is? 2 squared is 4. And I'm going to do this exponent before I add. What's 3 squared? 3 squared means 3 times 3. 3 squared is 9. Very good. Ooh, what's 4 times 9? I'm sorry, 4 plus 9 is 13, right? On my paper, I have 5 squared is 25. E is not equivalent, okay? I also know there's 2 answer choices, so I can't have a third one there. So I'm going to go ahead and select A and D. This one's in your Google form, so let's go enter it. Underneath guided practice question number 3, please select A and D only. A and D only. Do that now. All right, we're ready to move. It is time for your question of the day. Here it is. What operation do you think of when you hear the word quotient? What operation do you think of when you hear the word quotient? Absolutely. You think of division. In your Google form, underneath question of the day, please type in the word division, check your spelling so that it doesn't get marked incorrect. Pause here to do that now. All right, we are ready to move on. I just want to give you a couple of reminders, and I think they're going to be really helpful to you, so stay tuned. All right. You are, wow, you're going to celebrate Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. You have your independent practice to complete today and a skill builder. Your skill builder looks like this. So take a look. It says, what's the standard form of the following number? We didn't talk about standard form. That's just evaluate. So what is 5 to the power of 3? Remember that 5 to the power of 3 is 5 times 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again is 125. So I would just type in 125 into this box. That's how I get the right answer, okay? So just solving those exponents. I also want to show you actually what it will look like after you submit your Google form today. For the first time, I'm having the Google form release the score to you right away. And I'm doing that so you can see if you got the video questions correct or incorrect. I'm hoping that that will help us make sure we are watching the video and doing an excellent, thorough job, 6th grade. So what it will look like when you're done and you submit your Google form is you're going to see a message like this one. And now you get this amazing button that says View Score. You can click on that button and it will open up the scored page. The scored page, whoops, looks like this, okay? Notice I see total points 3 out of 10. Yikes, 3 out of 10. That's a failing grade. That doesn't sound awesome. However, the only thing that's graded right now are the video questions. So I want you to focus on the video questions only. 3 of 3 points you should see right here for 3 correctly answered video questions. Note, if you spell something wrong or capitalize a weird letter or put a space or anything like that, anything that's not exactly the answer we discussed in the video, it's going to mark it incorrect, okay? You'll also notice if I keep scrolling, you're going to see a score of 0 out of 7 points for your assignment. That's not because you got 0 points. It's because you we haven't had a chance to grade your work yet, right? So later on, Mr. Zamora or I will go back in and add in your score for your independent practice. So it's totally normal for you to have a 0 right now, but that score will go up and your grade will be in Google Classroom by tomorrow, okay? So when you submit, click View Score and make sure you get 3 out of 3. If you didn't get 3 out of 3, then what I want you to do is go back to this page and click that Edit Your Response. Watch the video again a little bit more carefully or correct your spelling mistake and then resubmit and you'll be able to get that 3 out of 3, okay? If you have any questions, please make sure you drop into office hours today. Otherwise, happy Star Wars Day and I'll see you back tomorrow for 2 expressions and equations. Bye.